Molo Sani Bonani Dakse, how's it? I'm Tim Mudise. This is ZAnews. Let's get it on. Our guest today, linking by satellite, I'm going to be joining Grizzly Mama, Sarah Palin, a little later for the latest on the Republican race for the White House.
Oh, hey, little Africans.
Don't go away. Our lead story today. Finance Minister Pravin delivered his budget speech yesterday. President Zuma, some big plans, a huge investment in infrastructure. But who's going to pay for all of it?
Tim, we have a very scientific and complex model for calculating our revenue. And I can confirm that this is going to be paid for by the tax fairies.
Who?
They are little pixies who live in a magic mountain made of money. They will pay.
Mr. President, I hate to bust your bubble, but the state's revenue comes from 5 million taxpayers, not fairies.
Good gracious, Tim. Wow. What kind of nonsense have you been hearing? If it was 5 million taxpayers supporting the other 45 million people, this country would be completely fucked. Imagine 5 million taxpayers supporting 45 million people.
Mr. President, the tax ferries are burning tires in Diepsloot.
Okay, send the police ferries.
Dear Lord, we beg you to cast Satan out of Ramfest, so that the little metalheads can all mush until they vomit without being seduced by the Dark Lord. We know that heavy metal is soundtrack of Beelzebub, but please show these head-banging goths your infinite mercy.
Oh, shit. Where do I go now? Who can I torment, if not conservative, paranoid South Africans? Aha! Honey, I'm home!
Is President Jacob Zuma on the hunt for wife number 5? After his reply to Parliament's debate on his State of the Nation speech, the husband-in-chief was seen swooping on Democratic Alliance head prefect Lindiwe Mazibuko and tickling her neck and shoulders. Lindiwe, was this an attempt to belittle the opposition in a public forum, or was this just sexual harassment?
Tim, I don't want to make a big deal out of this, but I just got awarded colours for basket weaving, and the first hockey team just beat those bitches at Hillcrest Academy. So everything is pretty rad at the moment. I've taken the necessary steps, and I'd just like to really just put it all behind me.
Necessary steps?
Well, I mean, obviously, you can't just grope the head girl. So I've given Jacob Saturday detention, and I'll make him write out desiderata like 100 times. Oh, and plus, I'm going to make him attend an outreach project or 2.
Excuse me, Lindiwe.
Jacob, blind. You can't just arrive in the middle of my oral.
I just want to say, Tim, I will be happy to do any outreach Lindiwe wants. When it comes to pretty young women, I am always happy to outreach.
The Young Communist League has called on Peter Mulder to resign after he said that Africans had no historical claim to 40% of South Africa's land. Bladen Zimande, is this because we can't have senior officials spouting divisive racial myths and making up new versions of history?
No, Tim, not at all. Divisive racial myths and making up new versions of history are a very important part of communist doctrine, but you should leave it to the professionals.
Like your party?
Absolutely, Tim. This Mulder is a rank amateur. 40%? Have you ever heard anything so stupid? Everybody knows that when the settlers arrived here, they found a collective of socialist communes, each producing tractors and vodka and living in harmony according to the teachings of Marx and Engels. 40%.
So I was like to the journalist, this is me, right? Like, am I evil or am I just like a normal person with slightly bad tendencies, you know? I mean, it's really hard to be as creative and sensitive as me because you start doubting your own doubts, you know?
Silence, woman! I am the Lord of Darkness, and you are my slave!
Oh my God, that is so hot. Oh, you mean like a bondage slave, right? Or do you mean like a slave? Because I'm really not so into that. I don't believe in oppressing anyone, especially not hot people. And slaves were so hot. I mean, like in that show, Roots, they were so buff, you know?
Be still and obey my diabolical will!
Diabolical. That's such a radical word. Diabolical. It's like metabolical. Oh, that is so what I'm going to call my next album. You want to jam a duet or something?
In the United States, homophobic climate change denier Rick Santorum is making a strong charge to win the Republican presidential nomination, edging ahead of multimillionaire Mitt Romney. To tell us more about what this means, I'm joined by a veteran of Republican politics, former Governor Sarah Palin. Ms. Palin.
Oh, goodness. Please don't call me Miss. I'm a Mrs., and I'm proud to be so. That Miss thing is an abomination created by lesbian feminists with hairy legs and yeast infections.
Okay, Mrs. Palin, thank you for giving up your time on holiday to talk to us.
Well, aren't you a polite little black man? Make such a wonderful change from the African-American Negro coloreds we have here. And yes, I always try to get away to the Alaskan wilderness this time of the year to shoot some bald eagles and grizzlies, you know, just to get back in touch with nature.
Mrs. Palin, you were in the news this week saying you thought Queen Elizabeth ran the government of the UK.
I know. I mean, who knew those socialist godless surrender monkeys would vote and have a prime minister, huh?
With all due respect, Mrs. Palin, how can someone who wanted to be president of the United States be so ignorant about the war?
Tim, let me answer your question with a question. Why does the sun rise every day? Where do babies come from? Why are lesbians fat? How come when you try to breed a pig with a chicken, you don't get chicken bacon? I mean, there's just so many questions, Tim, and we don't know the answers to any of them.
Okay, let's talk about Rick Santorum and his position on gays.
Tim, stop right there, okay? I know, Rick, and I know. He has never, ever, ever been in a gay position. Okay, just watch your tongue there, otherwise I'm gonna have to call you uppity.
If a gay American came up to you and,
What? Where?
Okay, let's say a scientist working on climate change
A
approaches you.
scientist? Oh my God, where?
Mrs. Palin, Rick Santorum is being put forward as the potential leader of the world's biggest nuclear superpower, and yet he implies that he would rather seek guidance from the Bible than from science.
Hell yes.
So, your party's view on saving the planet is...
If things get really bad, we just build a really big boat and we get 2 of every animal and a whole lot of guns.
But what about saving the planet before things get really bad?
Well, did Adam and Eve run around recycling and eating gay communist Islamic tofu in the Garden of Eden? No. They ate red meat, they drove big cars, and they pumped oil out of their ice caps.
Well, firstly, they didn't. And secondly, there were only 2 of them.
Yeah, but they were both Americans. So it's kind of the same as now, America, and then, you know, the forces of evil.
I don't think this is going anywhere.
Other than to the rapture, when we go up in a blaze of thermonuclear Anglo-Saxon Protestant rapture. Ooh, oh, a grizzly. Shh. Oh, shit. Oh, that wasn't a grizzly. That was Todd. Todd, you okay? What have I told you about shaving your back? I warned you this would happen. So I told Quincy, I dig that vintage vibe, like that song with the barking dog. But I'm the artist who wears meat, I can't just go vintage when I'm so modern.
If you do not stop talking, I will kill you.
Oh, do you mean that in the sense of spiritual death or artistic death?
Death.
Wow, that's really dark. You're hot.
Oh my God, I can't work like this.
Oh no, Satan, please, come back, don't leave me. Oh, why does everybody always leave me? Mom always said I'm attracted to inappropriate men. Oh.
Why are we doing this? Because here we can. From me team and the team is Hamburger, goodbye and Futsek.